This is so much better. Okay. I can actually look at you. Okay.
Good morning. Are we on? No. Are we? Yes. Yes, we're on. Okay, I'll just get closer. Yeah. Good morning. Okay. Huh. Good morning. I'm Jean, and I will be your MC this morning. This is last Sunday's service of 2024, and welcome very cordially. So please rise if you are able, and let's begin the service by singing the Vandana Tisarana together in both Pali and English. We'll wait for Reverend.
Yeah, the technical guy's late. So.
He's everything. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samam sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namadabus, namadabus, namadabus. Thank you. Please be seated. We will now sing the Gatha, Gasha with Amida, led by Reverend Carey. The words will be shown on the screens. Chanting will be followed by quiet meditation.
Recite Amida's name.
Just relax and get comfortable. If you're able, please sit forward in your seat and place both feet flat on the ground. Sit up straight. Align your head, neck, shoulders, and back in a straight line that goes down to the floor. Place your hands comfortably in your lap. Now close your eyes and just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. As you breathe in, you feel energy filling your body. And as you breathe out, any stress or worries in your mind just fade away. Just breathe. The sound of the gong will signal the end of our quiet meditation.
We would like to encourage everyone to offer incense at this time. The offering of incense is an ancient rite of purification of mind and body in preparation to hear the Dharma teachings. Offertory, or making donations and offerings to the temple, is a practice of Dharma, the first of the 6 paramita perfections in Mahayana Buddhism. Nope, sorry. Thought there was music.
No music?
It went to the next, it went to the gold chain club.
Oh, kind of weird. Okay.
Mahalo. Thank you. Let's all recite the Golden Chain of Love together. Let us begin. I am a link in Amita's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to say kind and gentle words and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I know depends on my happiness or unhappiness, but that of others. May every link in Amita's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Amen. And now, it's Children's Dharma story time. I'll just sit over
there. Good morning. Ohio gozaimasu. Hello. Oops. Hey, what are you doing, Sensei? There we go. Okay. So, anyway, mahalo for joining us here this morning for the last Sunday service of 2024. And Lucy's in here somewhere. There's Lucy. Good morning. Aloha kako. Aloha for everyone. I'm so happy to see all of you this morning. We have a great story for you. Yes, that's right. Today's story, brought to you by Auntie Jane H., is I Am Able to Shine by Corey Watari and illustrated by Mike Wu. The book is dedicated to Penelope and Felicity, who taught us that you are able to do anything if you are brave, if you're kind, brave, and true to yourself. Love, Mommy and Daddy. I Am Able to Shine by Corey Watari, illustrated by Mike Wu. Keiko has a spirited soul and a head full of ideas. Each night she whispers to her crane, I wish to change the world and shine. She is able to dream. Her generous heart fills her with strength and purpose. She sprinkles friendships all around. She is kind. Keiko sometimes feels invisible. Chin up, Keiko. One step is all it takes, she reminds herself. She perseveres. At times, Keiko wants to be someone else. She often wonders, why can't others see me the way I do? I'm a good person. She is determined. As the sun rises and falls, Keiko's family surrounds her with love. Keiko-chan, remember that you are always able to shine, no matter what anyone else thinks, they tell her. She is loved. People may misjudge her. They may even be unkind. Keiko remains steady as a tree. She is able to stand strong. As Keiko blossoms, her confidence ignites. She believes in herself and opens her heart. She is able to inspire. Keiko celebrates her differences and discovers a beautiful spirit can shine on the outside too. She is able to give hope. Keiko is proud that her eyes are shaped like crescent moons, and her hair is as dark as night. Her soul is the richest color of all. She is able to overcome. She is no longer afraid to raise her voice, share her doubts, or express her frustration. She is courageous. Keiko learns to love herself and declares, I am beautiful. I belong here. What I do matters. I am able to shine. In time, she will share herself with the world and be inspired by what she finds. She will lead. One day, she will receive one of life's greatest gifts. She will name her Teruko, which means to shine. With her whole heart and soul, she will love. As the wind, sky, and waves meet, Keiko shares her hopes for Teruko. And now, little one, I believe in you. It's your time to soar, to shine, and be free. The end. The book continues with an author's note that explains how and why the author wrote the book. Actually, like me, she's third generation Japanese American from the California area. And she just explains that she was looking for books to read to her daughter that were set in a Japanese American setting. She couldn't find any, so she wrote her own. And this is that book. So you can see there's also some explanations of things like origami and the crane and stuff. So she explains the cultural aspects. There you go. Well, okay. Wasn't that a great story? Jean, what part did you like? The bon dance, yes. Yeah, that's right. I noticed that. Did you notice what it said on the lanterns? It said sushi. I'm not sure why it says sushi, but anyway, that's what they said. Yeah, you know, that's the Yagura downtown L.A. in Little Tokyo. I recognized it too. So, yeah, wasn't that cool? Yeah, I thought it was a great. Hey, Sensei, what did you think? Well, you know, so she's like me. I can identify her. You know, I can identify with the character Keiko because you can feel invisible. You can feel like nobody sees you, like nobody sees her or hears her or appreciates her just as she is. It's hard to be different than other people. And it's natural to wish that you were someone you're not. But when you learn who you really are and who you really want to be, then you learn to shine. Bee-ha! Well, Keiko-chan sounds like you, Sensei, except you're not a girl, Sensei. Just kidding, just kidding. I can understand why it would be hard to feel like nobody sees you. That would make you feel all alone. Nobody should feel all alone. You know what I mean? Well, that's why I say bee-ha in a big voice all the time. Because when I do, it's hard to ignore me, Barkley, the dog, the rascal dog, the star of the children's Dharma story time. Bee-ha! And how about you, Lucy the Ladybug? Ladybug, what part did you like? Well, mahalo for asking, Barkley. I loved how Keiko learns to be who she is, not be shy about sharing it with others, and inviting people who are different to learn about Japanese culture, her culture. I love making origami cranes and bon dancing too. My best friend when I was a little girl was Hatsune the Ladybug, and she was from Tokyo, Japan. And she showed me how to make the cranes, and we are still best friends today. Aloha, Hatsune. I think we can all agree that you can only be who you really are. So we just have to learn how to get along with folks who are different than us. Now, the Buddha taught it's really hard to get along with people who are different because we want them to be just like us. But with practice, we can learn to understand and appreciate and welcome everyone and anyone just as they are. And that way, we can all shine. Oh, Barkley, you're such a poet. Oh, shucks, honey bunny. I'm not really. I just say the words that Sensei puts in my mouth. No, we're not supposed to say that. Okay, well, we better fade to black at this point because I think I wasn't supposed to say that part. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for everything you did for us during this past year, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year. Fade to black. Sensei, you forgot something. Now, remember, be good, but not too much. Okay, so let's see. We're still on the screen. What was I going to say? Okay. So I'd like this morning for the adult talk, I'd just like to cover some stuff really briefly. There's 3 things that you must do before the year end, and there's 3 things you must do to start the new year, at least in Japanese culture. So some of you will be familiar with these ideas, these traditions. So let's just go through them. And I'll try to explain the Buddhist context for which these things happen. First, let's begin with the words of Shinran Shonin. My eyes being hindered by blind passions, I cannot perceive the light that grasps me. Yet the great compassion, without tiring, illumines me always. The words of Shinran Shonin. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So how many of you are familiar with the term o-soji? So the big cleanup at the end of the year. Anybody? Interesting. It may or may not happen. Okay, if you grew up in a Japanese or Japanese-American family, or at least my family, you were likely to, you have to do a top-to-bottom cleaning of your house. Or the school classroom, or your business place, or a workplace, or shared spaces like the local Buddhist temple. So this is actually a picture from Nishi Honganji, from the Honganji in Kyoto. And you can see, I mean, there's armies of people, right? So they put the mask on, and they put the thing on their head, et cetera, et cetera. They're wearing white gloves, right? And they get big bamboo sticks, and they're whacking the tatamis to get the dust to come up. Bang! You can imagine it's a big deal, right? If you haven't been to the Honzan, the Mother Temple in Kyoto, I recommend you go. I mean, it's absolutely huge. It's like 2 basketball courts put together. Right? So if you can imagine, right, and that's all tatami mats. They get thousands and thousands of visitors. So you can imagine, right, it becomes a big deal. I couldn't find the photograph, but there's also photographs of people cleaning the altar. So you see people dressed like this to clean the statues and everything that's in there. So the idea that you have to get things in order before the end of the year. It comes from the Buddha's teaching that it's important to purify your mind and your body to walk the path of awakening. So if you put your house into order, you can start the new year afresh. If you put your business or your workplace in order, you can enjoy the holidays. Right? And then be ready to go on day 1 of work. But until then, you have permission to relax and not worry about it too much. The reason, of course, is you have to remember the first 3 days of the new year in Japan. So January 1, January 2, January 3, national holidays. When I went there as a student in the early 80s, literally everything closed down. And back in the early 80s, Japan was a cash-based society. So you'd have these huge lines in front at the bank to withdraw money before the New Year holiday. And so people would come out with like $1,000 worth of cash, right? Because everything had to be paid in cash. And for those 3 days, the banks are closed. ATM machines, well, actually, 80s sort of were around, but the ATM machines would be closed. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. But, when back then, the tofu man would be closed, the vegetable lady would be closed, the fish person, the meat person, all the restaurants would be closed, the supermarkets would be closed. Nothing is open. It's different now. You can actually withdraw money from the ATM machines, and 7-Eleven is pretty much open all the time. But you can see why it's important to do these things. It works in reverse, though. So the same idea that you got to get your affairs in order before the end of the year. You're supposed to repay all of your debts before the end of the year. So if you borrowed money or you borrowed something from somebody, you're supposed to repay that. Right? Again, think about that from a Buddhist perspective. If you purify your financial relationships, right, you purify your human relationships. If you owe me $100 at the end of the year, I'm not going to be a happy guy. Right? But if you say, oh, Carrie, thank you for lending me the $100, I return it to you, and then everything's okay. Maybe. As a kid growing up in LA, Los Angeles in the 1960s, all I knew that mom and dad expected us to clean up the house. And it had to be in quote-unquote proper order, chanto. It had to be like kichinto, right? There's different words they use for it, but it has to be proper order to welcome the new year, and we all have to help out. But if you did clean up your room, you got to play for a couple days. So, and in my family, we'd go to the temple on January 1. Then we'd go to Auntie Sachi's house. It would be 90 people in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath in the Crenshaw area. So you know those houses, right? This little tiny house with 90 people. That's just one side of the family. By the afternoon, we go over to Bachan Kiyohara's house, where there's another 70 people there. You know, again, a very small house, but mountains of food, literally mountains of food. So it was fun. Let's see. Raise your hand if you've heard it's bachi, it's bad luck to wash your hair in the new year, right? Yeah, this actually comes from Chinese tradition. The idea is that if you wash your hair in the like the first couple days of the new year or whatever it is, you're going to wash away the prosperity. Okay, interesting idea. But, so what do? You wash your hair before the new year. You go to the hairdresser and get your hair, you know, nice before the new year. So if you're planning to wear the fancy kimonos, I have some photographs of that stuff too, you got to do your hair up in a certain way. Right? The biggest lines will be for the hairdressers who know how to do that stuff. So anyway, there's a lot of things that you got to do. I've also heard, and this was in China actually, they say you don't wash clothes during the first couple days of the new year because, again, you're washing away prosperity, you're washing away good luck. Now, the Japanese are very practical, so they do all, you know, they get their hair dressed, washed, cut, styled, and they lay out enough clothes for 3 days so they don't have to worry about it. And that's also where the osechi ryori comes from. So the special New Year's foods, if you notice, they're all like pickled or marinated, you know, salted. They're preserved. It's supposed to last 3 days, no refrigeration, which is where all these traditional foods come from. There you go. Of course, now you can pre-order all of the New Year's specialties from 7-Eleven, and they will deliver it on the 31st. You know, nice plastic trays and stuff. You don't have to. No, you're not supposed to do that. But it's very popular, actually. There was a huge controversy a couple years ago. A very large supplier failed to deliver the New Year's goodies for like thousands of people. You can imagine that really upset a lot of customers. Okay. Joya no Kane, we do this here at the temple, so we strike the big bells 108 times. And the last one is at the stroke of midnight. And it refers to the 108 blind passions. I'll talk a little bit more about this on Tuesday night. And, you know, I show the video. This is another one. This is an absolutely huge bonsho. So the big temple bells. Was it Lahaina Jodo Mission had one, right? The stand burned down. I think the bell is still intact. And what happens is because you want to have it, you know, the last strike at midnight, so go back 108. These are absolutely huge, so it takes some time. And again, the tolling of the bell is 108 times. In Buddhism, there's 108 blind passions. Anger, greed, ignorance is the ones that we know the most. Right? That cause, but they're really like, what was it? That reminds us we're only human because there's ego-driven passions and cravings, desires, attachments, delusions that blind us to the light of compassion. And if you live in Japan, you can't avoid hearing the bells because you know, the local temple, everyone is ringing the bells. You're going to see it on TV and on radio broadcasts. Actually, NHK does this thing where they go around to different temples and shrines around Japan, and they do live broadcasts of the bell ringing. So 108 different locations. And you know, you're going to hear it everywhere. Why? It's the countdown to New Year's. Right? On that last one, bong, Happy New Year. So it's, I guess it's like the ball descending in Times Square. There's a whole bunch of stuff associated with O Misoka, which is New Year's Eve. So you're supposed to visit you're supposed to visit the shrine. Oops. Jumped ahead. Okay, so you're supposed to visit the local shrine. Raise your hand if you have omamori, so the little protective amulet thing that like you might have one in your car or in the house or something, right? It's a Japanese thing. But did you know it only works for 1 year? You're supposed to return those things. So one of the things you do on Omisoka is you visit the temple, the shrine, and you return the amulet, and the priest, you know, burns it in a really, you know, ceremony, purification ceremony, and you buy a new one. Clever. But did you know Jodo Shinshu is the only major Buddhist, you know, organization, lots of temples, right, we're the only organization that does not sell omamori. So people often ask me, do you have omamori for my car? And I go, oh, sorry, we don't do that. You have to go to a Japanese shrine. But the Shinto shrines, of course, on Maui is not operational right now. So it's kind of a thing. But because Shinran taught, and I have the quote somewhere, that no evil can overcome the Nembutsu, and no good can surpass the virtues of the Nembutsu. So Shinran's perspective was no need. It's superstition. And he discouraged superstition. He actually discouraged omamori because it's a sundry practice, zatsugyo. It didn't make him very popular with the established shrines because the Honganji was the largest Buddhist organization. Toshikoshi soba, so this is another fun one. The noodles, again, passing the year, toshi kosu, toshi o kosu, so to pass over the year noodles. Did you know that when you move into a new place, that in Japan it's tradition to give soba noodles to your new neighbors? Say, hello, I'm Kerry Kiyohara, I just moved in, this is a small token of appreciation, please be nice to me. I've heard different descriptions, explanations for why they give soba noodles. Soba also means next door. I go, okay. The other one is that they want the relationship to be like the noodles, long but thin. Right? So we want to have a long, nice relationship with you, but we don't want to become your best friend, you know. So I go, really? And my Japanese friends are saying, oh, you gaijins, you foreigners. Although I have heard that in several places. Amazake, has anybody tried amazake? It's sort of like unfiltered, sweet sake, so it's kind of before it gets to the sake stage, the clear stage. It's got the rice in it. It's kind of whatever you call that stuff. It's nice and sweet. So actually, for many Japanese children, this is their first exposure to alcohol. So you go to the shrine, you know, before midnight. You're listening to the bells. You return your omamori, so you make a donation so that they'll burn it for you. You go pick out new ones, right? And then there's always a place serving amazake. So you go have a cup and say, hey, you know, thank you for being nice to me this year. And so that's one of those things. Then it's New Year's Day. You have to go to Hatsumode, right? So the first visit, quite literally the first visit to a shrine to ask the gods for good fortune in the coming year. This is a famous one, a famous shrine in Kamakura. Right? This is the line to get in. Yeah. If you've been to Tokyo, the Meiji Jingu in the center of Tokyo, the major Shinto shrine, they literally get 1 million people. I mean, imagine that, 1 million people going to a temple, you know, and because the offertory boxes, you know, are so far away, people literally get handfuls of coins and throw them there. And so if you're at the front, it's like, it's not fun because you get banged up. But it's huge. It's absolutely huge. Everyone does Hatsumode, which is why, you know, I was surprised that here we didn't have a January 1 service, New Year's Day service. So, but Hatsumode, you have to do this. Now, Jodo Shinsho doctrine says you don't have to, but it's a good idea. Again, to express your appreciation. Yeah, Hatsumode, if you're an unmarried woman, you wear the furisode kimono. So let's say this is standard length. It's the one where the sleeve is like super long and super fancy, embroidered. The obis that they wear are the super fancy ones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So for young people, this is the time you get to put on your fancy kimono, go to the temple. So you have to have your hair, you know, styled, et cetera. And you go with your friends and take pictures and stuff. If you have a chance, seeing New Year's Eve, New Year's Day in Japan is pretty crazy. That's the omamori one. Sorry, I'm a little bit out of sequence here. These are actually really quite pretty. Some of them say, the upper right one says success on the entrance examination. Right? So that you're applying to Harvard and you got to take a test, right? So, and you get it. Let's see, what are the other ones here? May your wishes come true. Protect the house, protect your health. Let's see. Protect your children. And the other one is, yeah, kotsu, Anzen. So safety during transportation, so the one you hang in your car. And they're actually really quite pretty. I mean, I have some that I bought as souvenirs. I'm not using them as omamori, but technically you are supposed to return them. So. This is a good one, Hatsu Hinode. Have you ever heard of the tradition of going to see the first sunrise? In Japan, this is probably Kamakura, near Tokyo. So you go to the beach because it's nice and flat and you can see the sun come up. If you're really crazy, you go to the top of Mount Fuji, but it's like really crowded. And it's, I mean, in any tradition, it's considered auspicious. Yeah, but you think about it, right? Why would you do this? Do you go see the last sunset? No, you see the first sunrise. Because it marks the beginning of the year. It's renewal. It's new hope. It is a new year. It's a new year. And you see the sunrise. So. How about kakizome? Have you guys ever done this? So the first calligraphy of the year. In a formal setting, you use the ink is made with the water, the first drawing of the water from the well. So the first time you get the water out of the well and you mix the ink, and then you write stuff. It's intention setting. It's kind of like your wish, your aspiration for the year. So again, this is kind of an interesting one. I always thought that this was similar to the idea of making a New Year resolution. In the new year, I'm going to lose 30 pounds or whatever it is. But it's the same, kind of the same idea. So intention setting at the beginning of the year. Okay, we do this too, right? Ozoni, the honorific mixed boil, which is the weirdest name ever. And so this one's actually quite fancy, right? That's one of the things. Growing up, my father made ozoni every New Year's morning, but it was daikon, carrots, some green stuff, and that's it. So it was kind of bitter, it was kind of funky smelling, and it was basically shoyu. He wasn't using dashi. And it was just like, I know I'm supposed to eat this. I'm the good second son. I go, what this? It smells funny. It doesn't taste good. But you did get the toasted mochi, put it in there, and that's nice. And then you can have the toasted mochi with sato joyu, with sugar and shoyu, and dip it in. And then when mom and dad aren't looking, you just dip it in the sugar. So. But anyway, and so that's the ozoni I grew up on. I'm going, nah, I'm not excited about ozoni. And then I go to Japan, and Mimi's family invites me for January 1, and Mimi made the ozoni. It doesn't look quite as fancy as this, but it has a chicken stock. It has other things. It has the little uzura, the quail eggs. It might have the mushrooms and green stuff. And so in other words, it's more of a Japanese-style soup. So I tried that and go, oh, my God, this is amazing. And then she tried my dad's one year, and she's kind of like, okay, next year I'll offer to make the ozoni for your dad. How's that? And it is. She was like, but we thought about it. And we actually, we talked to Bachan, we talked to our grandma, and she explained, it's like, well, we wanted to have ozoni, but we were lucky to have shoyu. So, and so so that's kind of the family recipe. And even when I was a kid, by that time you could get the ingredients that you would want. But it was, tradition. But I always look at ozoni kind of guy going, my dad's ozoni was the worst, man. So why do we do these things? Just to summarize this. This is all in Japan. Some of these traditions come over here and affect the way we do things. But from a Buddhist perspective, right, again, it's about purification and renewal. So when we do the annual temple cleanup here, for the people who use this temple, who call this temple home, you're cleaning up your house. Get things in order before the end of the year. Because when the new year starts, it's a new year. It's a renewal of hope. It's a renewal of everything. Also, by doing this, you have mindfulness of past, present, and future all at once. Right? So the past, it's Omisoka, so it's the New Year's Eve. There's all these things you have to do before the end of the year. But during that time, as you're waiting in line with a million people to get into the shrine, you can reflect upon the things that happened in the past year. And then when you finally get to the front of the line, right? So you're grateful, one, to get to the front of the line, but two, you're making a wish for the future. So it is this nexus between the past and the present and the future. And by being mindful of new beginnings, you begin to have more gratitude. And it's also about intention setting. I'll be talking a little bit more about some of the other things. I don't think I have the slide, yeah. So there's another one. So the first thing you do in the new year. So there's all kinds of stuff. So like Hatsu Hinode, right? The other one I didn't put in because there's no picture of it. Hatsu Yume. Okay, so on New Year's Day, right, think about what's your first dream that you had? Right? The first sunrise. Obviously, you don't have to go to the top of Haleakala or anything, but that first morning, the sun came up. Just take a minute to think about that. It's a new year. It's a new day of a new year, and the sun rose. And you're alive to see it. You're alive to see it. Intention setting, so you write down what you want to do for the new year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's actually, good reasons for doing these things. This is all basically Japanese cultural traditions that people will follow. It'd be hard for a lot of people to explain why we do these things. So, two things. One, as you get ready for the end of the year, what are your family's end of year traditions? Do you guys clean up the house or do whatever? And then on New Year's Day, right, what's your first thought when you wake up? Right, what's the first thing you do in the morning when you wake up on New Year's Day? The first time you notice, hey, the sun came up. Or and in Japan, there's a lot of drinking involved with this. So I basically, the first, the second, and the third, from the morning, hey, Happy New Year, boom. And a lot of watching of TV and stuff. But the end of the year and the new year, it can be a significant religious and spiritual experience. So I would encourage you to do that. And what was it? Tuesday. Oh my gosh. Tuesday is New Year's Eve, right? And then New Year's Day is Wednesday. Oh my gosh. Okay, so kind of crazy. But thank you very much for listening this morning, and may your day be filled with aloha. Okay, over to you, MC.
Thank you, Sensei, for sharing the Dharma with us this morning. Let's all chant the Metta Sutta, the Loving Kindness Sutra. Oh, sorry.
May
All beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May I be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to me. May I live in peace and harmony. May my family be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my friends be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my teachers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May strangers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my enemies be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. Thank you. Reverend Carey will now lead us in gratitude meditation.
So once again, let's sit together quietly for a few moments. So just relax, get comfortable, sit forward in your seat if you're able. Place both feet flat on the ground. Sit up straight. Align your head, neck, shoulders, and back in a straight line that goes down to the floor. Place your hands comfortably in your lap. Now close your eyes halfway so that you're looking both outwardly and inwardly. And just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. you are grateful. When you breathe out, just say mahalo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just breathe. The sound of the gong will signal the end of our quiet meditation. Namandas, namandas, namandas.
Thank you. Please rise if you are able, and let's sing Ondoksan, the hymn of gratitude written by Shinran Shonin, which will be shown on the screens. And please remain standing and let us sing the Nembutsu, which will also be found on the screen. Mahalo, please be seated. And thank you for joining our service this morning, the last service of 2024. Announcements?
Yeah, basically see you on Tuesday and Wednesday, I guess. And everything else we'll figure out.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 o'clock on Tuesday for New Year's Eve? 5 o'clock, right? And then 9 o'clock on January 1. So let's do that. Tell all the kids I've got like soap bubble things to play with and sparklers, and so they better show up. No. Okay, I think, anybody have any other announcements? Shinenkai, I forgot that. When is the date? 26th, okay. I have to make up the schedule for January, but I'm 3 days behind and everything. So the 26th will be the New Year's party, but also the annual general meeting, installation of officers, and presentation of the Fukunaga Dana Award, I think. I thought we did. That's the request from Mike. So. Anyway, we'll figure it out. But see you on Tuesday. That's the next one, right? Very good. Thank you much, everybody, and we'll see you up in the social hall.